Hey everyone, it's been a while. I was compelled to return after reading this book, Mathish. So what is this book about? I started tutoring, and I started a tutoring company because I felt that the way I learned math, something was off about it. I did extremely well in high school, but I still had trouble problem solving in university. And I thought I realized something. I thought I found the secret. But as I was teaching different types of students over the year, I realized there's actually more to this. And there are many things that I thought I realized. So I explore, one pathway, and then I'm not so sure if that is the right way. So I go a different pathway and explore that for a little while. And it takes a long time because I'm not sure if any of these paths are the way to make sure I can have an impact on students. But this book here, the author, Jo Boaler, I don't know if I'm pronouncing her name correctly. I discovered this book through a great community of teachers called Making Math Moments. I actually heard her in the math podcast there. So if you're a teacher or tutor and you want a great podcast to listen to about teaching math, I highly recommend you check them out. Okay, but this author basically went through something similar to what I went through. I can feel it. I can tell that she went through the math education system in UK, and she also said something was off about it. She went through the academics and went through the research field, did amazing research on why teaching a certain way can be more effective than others. And the methods she described in this book is backed up by neuroscience research. So the way I realize I'm doing a good job is I just teach one student at a time and try different methods and see if that's effective. And it takes a lot of students to gain confidence that that is the right way. Sometimes it works from one student, but it doesn't work with another student. So that makes me hesitate and revise my methods. The method that I had a hunch that were the correct approaches, she makes it super clear why they work in the book. Right? Because it's backed up by neuroscience and a bigger body of research. Let me go over one example that is a stunning fact that's presented in this book. So there's this concept of groupatizing. Getting students to recognize numbers can be flexible and grouped in different ways to be manipulated. Many students remember certain procedures. It's a much more rigid way to navigate around numbers. Right? If you see a number, if you're asked to add, you add maybe sequentially. But numbers are not that restrictive. Let me give you an example of what I mean by this. So suppose you have 1 plus 3 plus 5 plus 7. Okay, you ask a student to add this. And most students will go, okay, well, let me add these two first. And then I will add these two next. And then I will add these two to get 16. Okay, but what if you extended this? Adding all numbers, right, all the way up to, let's say 99. This straightforward, adding a sequentially method, you can immediately see the kids will not hesitate. Why do I have to do this? It's going to take so long. Now, a way to groupatize these numbers is the following. So you have 1, 3. If I stack the 3 to make a square, there's 3. That's 1 plus 3. You can see it's 4. And then let's add a 5. And look, that's 5 and it forms 3 squared, which is 9. Let's add the 7, 3, 3, that's 6. One more is 7, and that is 4 squared. So there's 4 numbers here. So this is 4 squared. If you had to add one more, 1, 2, 3, 4. If you had to add 9, you can see it's going to be 5 squared, right? If you had to add up to 9. So to add this, you just have to figure out how many numbers you have here. And if you were to list the numbers from 1 to 100, there's 100 numbers, but half of them are odd. So there's 50 numbers here. So adding all of this up now is just 50 squared, 2,500. So that's the difference. Okay, one way you're visualizing and finding a creative way to group the numbers. And the other way is more straightforward procedure, which has its limits and you can brute force it, but can be really cumbersome. So that's an example of being able to visually group numbers, groupatizing. So they did a study in US. Unfortunately, the biggest factor that had the largest impact on student outcome was money. families that were well off, they did proportionally better on the state tests. So the correlation coefficient was around 67%. Now they did this also with groupatizing. So the groupatizing and their ability to perform well in state tests, there was a 57 or 56%, 6-7%. So about 10% difference in correlation. Now, to me, that is stunning. Okay, more generally, how important is it for you to think about numbers, not in a one strict, rigid way to operate on, but think of it visually in different ways, maybe even talk about it. Be able to think about the numbers from multiple angles is extremely important in the performance of the state tests, as well as how much you earn later in life. Isn't that stunning? So as a tutor, and I'm sure it's for teachers too, if you can get your kids to do math so that they're not just memorizing processes, but actually able to visualize the numbers and think about numbers in different ways with fluency and from multiple angles, you're literally changing the lives of these students. Okay, I've known that this seems to be the right way. I've seen students personally that they can problem solve better if they can actually visualize what they're doing. Okay, not, oh, these are the steps I have to follow because that looks similar to what I've seen before. But this book makes it really clear I need to double down on getting students to be able to visualize numbers. And there are other things, there are many other factors, and I'd like to go into them, not all in this one video, but I'm just so excited about the things I discovered in this book. And I actually want to spend more time thinking a bit deeper about what it means in my practice of having impact through tutoring, through PrepBox, on getting students to actually learn better. And hopefully we guide the students in a way that will actually have an impact in their lives. So if you're a tutor that really cares about making an impact on your students, and if you're a teacher, highly recommend this book. I'm going to follow up with more videos in the future, like going more specifics into the book. So they go into different examples of like how to teach fractions, but also in general, like I have so many thoughts now. How do I visualize everything? How do I think about all these different concepts taught from grade 1 all the way up to grade 12? How do you approach them differently? And that makes me like explode into, I can visualize so many different content and videos around that. So I mean, I'm going to be making these videos for myself, the tutors that I work with, but I hope it may be useful to some of you out there as well. All right, that's it for this one. I'll see you in the next with more videos relating to this theme.